Hello friends and welcome to the Southern Mountain Kitchen. Today we're going to make chicken Parmesan over noodles. So what you see on my counter is what's going to go into making this. There's quite a few items on here, but once you're done with this is such an amazing meal, and it's something that's not hard to make, and if you're trying to actually do something to impress someone, this actually is really great because it looks like you put a whole lot of effort into it and it comes out tasting so great. And it's just one of those things where this is a pleasure to eat because of so many things in it, like the chicken, and you've got marinara sauce and noodles and everything, and the cheese, and it just all works together to make a great meal. And it's something that if you want to really do something nice for someone, this is a good choice. So we're going to start off with about a third of a medium onion, and we're going to cut this into small pieces. We don't want anything really huge going into this because this is going to actually end up in the marinara sauce to give it a little bit of oomph when we cook it. So just go ahead and cut this up as small as you can, and then once you get it cut up, chop it again, because we're going to try to get this down as small as we can. It doesn't have to be minute or anything like that, just get it down to a point where it's chopped up. Then in a saucepan we are going to go ahead and add about 2 to 3 tablespoons of olive oil and bring the onion in, because we're going to cook this for about 3 to 4 minutes. And then once we cooked it for 3 to 4 minutes, we're going to actually add some garlic to this. But we want to make sure that this is already on its way to being cooked before, because once it hits our sauce, we don't want it just sitting in there being a hard piece of onion. We want to actually cook to a point to where it's pliable, it's kind of translucent, it's kind of to the point where as it sits in the sauce, it'll finish off what it needs to. Now, once you get to that 3 to 4 minute marker, we're going to add in at least a tablespoon of minced garlic, and you're going to cook this for a minute. Now, you can do this 30 seconds to a minute. Don't go over a minute with that garlic, because if you do, you're going to kind of scorch it and it's going to have a taste, and you don't want that. So once you start smelling the garlic, you know it's pretty much cooked. So go ahead and just mix that around a little bit as it's cooking. And then after this, we're going to add 1 cup of marinara sauce. Now you can buy this at the store already made. It's really not even that expensive. Put it in here, and we're going to let this just simmer together for a little while. So that way we know that it's going to cook in. And we're going to add to this 1 tablespoon of Italian seasoning. And then just cook it for about 4 minutes. Then you can take it off the heat, set it to the side, and that way it can sit and do its thing while we're going to the next step of what we're going to make. So go ahead and just put a lid on it, set it to the side. And then after this, we're going to start working on the next step of this, which is going to be getting the chicken ready to go. So before you set this aside, you might want to stir it a couple times just to make sure that everything is mixed through, but you're done with this. And that's a good thing. You're not going to need it again until we get towards the end. So bring out your chicken breast. Now mind you, I am making this for 2 people. If you wanted to do this for a few others, you could literally just like double, triple the recipe. It's really that easy, and you'll have enough for what you need. With me, I'm just going for this because it's just 2 of us going to be eating this, and this is just going to be an easy thing to make for 2 people. So go ahead, cut all the fat off your chicken. Make sure that you get all the tough parts off of there. We don't want any of that making it into the whole mix of this, because you know there's nothing like having a piece of chicken with fat on it. You really don't want it. So just go ahead and work your way through, and just make your way around the sides of the chicken to make sure there are no hard pieces, like where the chicken breast would have met together when it came off of the chicken itself. There will be parts in there sometimes where it's tough. Now, once you get this done, we're going to take the chicken breasts that have already been cleaned up, put them in a bag, so that way when we go to pound these things, the stuff doesn't go all over the kitchen. And just take a mallet or whatever you got and pound this out. Now sometimes you don't have a mallet. You could go ahead and just basically take something heavy like a rolling pin or whatever and just, pounce on the back of this for a while. Flip it over, pounce on the other side until you've actually like flattened them out a bit. Plus it's going to tenderize it a little bit. So we'll go ahead and do that. Now on a platter, we're going to get our breading and stuff ready. So on one side of this, we are going to put down at least a half a cup of all-purpose flour. Then on the other side, at least a half a cup of panko. Now, once you get the panko down, we're going to add some stuff on top of it. We're going to put 2 tablespoons of Parmesan cheese on top of that. And then we're going to have at least 1 teaspoon of chicken seasoning, and it's your choice what kind of chicken seasoning you use. And then on top of that, we're adding 1/4 teaspoon of pepper and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Once we get that all together, we're going to mix it so that way the seasonings and the cheese work through the panko before we go to use this. So take a fork or whatever and just mix through it, and just turn it around a few times so that way the seasoning has a chance to mix into it and it's not all sitting on top. Now, what we're going to do with this in a second is we're going to take an egg, put it into the bowl that's to the back of here, break it up just like you were scrambling eggs. And we're going to use that to dip the chicken into as we're going through the process to make this other stuff stick to it. So your chicken is still in the bag at this point. You're going to be bringing it out to use it once this egg is all mixed up. And then we're basically going to do a thing where we're going to take the chicken, we're going to dip it in the egg, then we're going to bring it over and dip it into the flour. And then once you get this really coated, you're going to bring it back to the egg again and then bring it to the panko. And this is going to help this really stick. And it's really like double dipping something where you're going to have a really good coating on the outside of it. And that's the whole point of it. We just want to make sure that we get this really coated. And we're going to go from this to the next chicken breast and do the same thing all over again. Now, once you get this really coated on here, just make sure you didn't miss any spots. And if you have a little flour that hung around and ended up on the outside of the panko, that's perfectly fine because it's going to cook off when we go to cook it anyway. So go ahead and flip this back and forth in your panko. And if you have spots where it didn't stick, just grab a handful of it and throw it on there and just push it in because it will end up sticking. And then once we're done with this, we're going to get ready to cook it. So we're going to get a pan and put about 4 tablespoons or so of olive oil in it. Get this up to medium heat. We don't want high heat because that will actually scorch the outside of this. So we're going to go for medium and get the chicken in here. And what we're going to do is we're going to cook this chicken for at least 4 or 5 minutes per side. Now, I like to flip the chicken when I'm cooking it just to make sure that it doesn't brown too much. So as you're watching, I'm going to flip this a couple of times just to make sure that I'm getting it cooked through. But what you're trying to get to is 165 degrees internal temperature with a golden brown outer edge on this, which, you know, after you get to the point of you had this in here for anywhere from like 9 to 10 minutes total, that's with the flipping time and everything, like, you know, 4 to 5 minutes per side, then you should check it just to see what temperature you're at. But as you look at it and you can see that you're getting this really browning golden stuff on the outside of it, you're getting there. And that's about the time you really need to make sure of how hot it is internally. Because once you get to the point where it's completely cooked internally, you're good to take this off and stop. But we're going to put cheese on top of it first. So what we're going to do is we're going to add at least a tablespoon of Parmesan on top of each one of these. And then we're going to add 2 slices of mozzarella, which you can buy this sliced in the store. And we're going to let it sit here with the heat turned off and let that actually melt down. Now we're going to boil some water for our noodles, which we're going to put some olive oil and salt into it just to let them cook. And just going to cook them per the directions on your package, which usually means they're going to be in there for like 8 to 9 minutes boiling. And then once this is done, we're going to drain it, and then we're going to add a little bit of butter to these noodles just to give them a little bit of a taste to them, but also for the fact stop them from sticking together as they dry out. So once this is completely done, drain off your water and then come back and put in at least, I'd say 4 or 5 tablespoons of butter into this and just mix it through until it completely melts. Because once we're to this point, we're almost ready to go ahead and assemble our plate, which is a great thing because this is pretty much done. Now if you wanted to make bread or something to go with this, really easy to do, but otherwise we're going to put some noodles on our plate. And once we get them on there, we're going to actually add some sauce on top of that because we're going to layer the stuff on here to make it look really nice. So go ahead and put a few of the spoonsful of your tomato sauce, the marinara sauce, over top of your noodles. And then once we get a decent amount of that on, we're going to bring the chicken in. And as we're going with this, we're just like building a stack of this onto the plate. And then once you have this here, we're going to actually spoon some more of the marinara sauce over top of this. And we're just going to keep going until we get an amount that we feel that looks really good. And that's it. There's your meal. Other than if you want to make bread or salad or something else to go with it, this is what you're trying to do. And just sprinkle some parsley over top of it. Just give it a little green. And you have something really wonderful to eat. And it has such a great taste. I hope you liked this video. And if you did, please like and subscribe. And if you get a chance, check out the Southern Mountain Kitchen website where you can get a free recipe. Check out the cookbooks available from the Southern Mountain Kitchen. And if you'd like to, you could order a cookbook at a discounted price, cheaper than Amazon, with shipping that is also cheaper than Amazon. So if you get a chance, check it out. And I hope you have a great day.